Hi again, everybody. It's Jacob from Wiffle Breakers. Welcome to the Arizona Diamondbacks 2023 season outlook. My season outlook, for me, is just talking about what I expect to happen this year, some of their roster construction, some of the position battles, starting rotation battles, and how it relates to cards, both from collecting and maybe speculative buys to flipping later this season or in the future. One thing we look at when we talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks is they're young. A lot of young players on this team. Very exciting pitching staff, potentially. A lot of young pitchers coming up, as well as the best prospect in all of baseball, according to a lot of major league lists. So they won 74 games in 2022, a 74-88 record, exceeded expectations because in 2021 they won 52 games. So a 22-win increase at any point in baseball is pretty noticeable. So Diamondbacks played above expectations last year. I don't know if they can replicate that, even the 74 wins. I lean towards yes. I actually lean towards them winning a few more games, but definitely not, that type of win percentage increase. Some of the additions that they made in 2023, they added veteran Evan Longoria. He's probably going to play a lot. I think he should play third base and DH a lot. They have Rojas at third, but if you sign a guy to $10 million, he's probably going to play. So Longoria was an addition. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gabriel Moreno. They both came over in the Dalton Varsho trade. Pretty, I want to say, surprising trade. Caught me off guard for sure, mainly because Varsho was the Diamondbacks' offensive catalyst last year. He was their best offensive player. Could play center field and catcher. Rare combo, but in return, they got a really good prospect. Moreno is a stud. He's one of the key rookies in 2023 Top Series 1. So I'm really excited to see how he does in this new season, new environment, new team with the Diamondbacks, and what he can do with this staff. Diego Castillo is a shortstop, not the pitcher. Diego Castillo came over. He could already be seeing playing time. Nick Ahmed's shoulder surgery doesn't look like it's recovering properly. And they have Geraldo Perdomo, who will probably get majority of starts, but Castillo could see some time at short right away. Another surprising trade that the Diamondbacks pulled off was Kyle Lewis, the 2020 Rookie of the Year. He came over in a 1-for-1 for Cooper Hummel. Hummel was a little bit older, developed prospect. I use that term lightly because they probably knew what they were going to get from Hummel, and in Seattle, he's going to be a bench bat, whereas Kyle Lewis could have the potential to maybe come back and be a starter in this outfield. Maybe. Another big addition was Carlos Vargas. He came over from the Guardians. He has a live fastball. The Diamondbacks bullpen needed a ton of help, so we'll see what he can bring. He is a prospect. He's never made any major league starts, never made any appearances. He got called up, I want to say 3 times with the Guardians last year, but never made it into a game. So he's fresh. He's ready for his cup of coffee. Andrew Chafin was a late signing. He signed in, I want to say early February. For spring training, that's pretty late in the season, in the off season. He turned down more money, more guaranteed money from Detroit to come to Arizona. I think that speaks to what he expects this team to do, as well as Detroit. He does have some more incentives built in to make some money if he performs well, but I think he expects this Diamondbacks team to make steps forward, make strides forward, and hopefully, have a better season than he would have in Detroit. Some of the losses, I talked about Dalton Varsho already. Still, I can't wrap my head around it for the Diamondbacks. I think it's a great ad for Toronto. He'll be really interesting to watch. We'll talk more about him when I do the Blue Jays segment. Ian Kennedy, he was a veteran innings eater. He's gone. It's not a huge loss, but it is, they have to replace those innings. Jordan Luplow, right-handed outfielder who crushes lefties, he's gone. And then Cooper Hummel, who I talked about with the Kyle Lewis trade. One area that I think the Diamondbacks are strong, and I use that term loosely, they're stronger than I think some people expect them to be, is the starting rotation. Zach Gallen, he was kind of nuts last year. He's a 2020 Topps rookie if you're interested in buying his cards. At one point last year, he threw 44 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings. That's insane. To put it in perspective, it's the 7th longest streak in MLB history. from a starter standpoint, that is almost unheard of. And it kind of caught us off guard because if you look at some of the 2022 reports or spring training reports about Zach Gallen, he was not healthy. I actually want to say he had some elbow issues, and we weren't sure if he was even, going to make the opening day roster, how he was going to fare throughout the season, or if he might even get Tommy John surgery. So if you look at Zach Gallen going into the 2022 season, not healthy, not have a normal build-up, and then he produces like this, what could he do going into a season where he's fully healthy, or we think he's fully healthy? As far as we know, there's nothing hindering him, so he can prepare properly, he can build up his innings in spring training like he wants to, and come into a season with, I would say, pretty high expectations. And I mean, he could take another step. He did strike out over a batter an inning last season, so if he can somehow build on his momentum and have an even better season, you're looking at a potential Cy Young candidate. I would say the NL is pretty stacked when it comes to pitching for Cy Young candidacy, but he's in there. He's in the top 10. So Zach Gallen, 2020 tops, stud, ace, period. Merrill Kelly is their number 2. Kelly was a rookie for tops baseball rookie in 2019. He is much older than you think. He had a really good season, but he is going on his age 34 season. 2019 Tops Update Heritage High number if you're interested. He's not an investment prospect. He's not a guy that's going to just all of a sudden throw 5 miles per hour faster. He might develop another pitch or work on something, but I think we saw the breakout. I think we saw the best case scenario for Merrill Kelly in 2022. He threw over 200 innings, which is wild. I mean, there were 7 pitchers last year who threw over 200 innings, and he was one of them. He had 177 Ks, slightly less than 8 K per 9, which is fine. But if you take away the fact that they're going to shift a little less in MLB, and Kelly relies on weak contact, we could see a few more base hits sneak through. His expected ERA numbers could rise a little. So I wouldn't be throwing any money at Merrill Kelly cards. If you're a Diamondbacks fan, you want to collect him, that's great. I'm all about team collections, but expecting Merrill Kelly to make another step forward or to continue to get better, I don't see it. He spent 4 years in the KBO, so he's coming into this season, like I said, his age 34 season. He's older than Madison Bumgarner. I put that question on my Twitter, at WiffleBreakers. Who do you think is older? Everyone got it right, all 3 of you who voted, so thank you for that. But I just wouldn't have got it right if I didn't look it up or if I didn't pose the question that way. Madison Bumgarner has been pitching in the major league since 2010, has 3 World Series rings, and has a 7-year window where he was one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball. So it's crazy to think that he is still younger than Merrill Kelly, who we're talking about as, hey, 2022 is his best season. Could he make a step forward? I don't see it, but I've been wrong before. Speaking of Madison Bumgarner, he's probably their number 3 starter. I use that term loosely because we have to put numbers on him. Bumgarner, if you listen to Nick Pirco, I want to say it's Pirco. Now I got to look to make sure that I'm saying his name correctly. Nick Picoro. He's one of the Arizona Diamondbacks beat writers. He said he expects the Diamondbacks to have a short leash with Bumgarner, which is kind of crazy to think about. He signed a 5-year, $85 million contract in the 2019 offseason into 2020. So he has 2 more years remaining on that, this year and next. So the Diamondbacks, if they were to cut ties with him, obviously admitting a mistake, I don't think it's really up for debate that they would take that contract back if they could, but that's $34 million that they're just writing off if they, cut ties and decide, hey, we'd rather see Brandon Pfaadt or Drey Jameson in this spot than Bumgarner. I don't think they're just going to cut ties with him. They may move him to a mop-up role in the bullpen where he's a long inning guy, long inning reliever who's just there to make sure that the real leverage guys, real late inning guys don't waste innings. Bumgarner, he's one of those guys that I hate to see what happened to him. His 2010 rookie, Topps rookie, is probably one of those cards that, every time I pull it out, PSA 10 sitting in the wiffle vault, you pull it out and you look at it and you just say, man, that 2014 World Series was insane. He has 3 World Series rings. What a pitcher. Probably on a Hall of Fame track around that 2014 season, you could see the outcome where he is in the Hall of Fame. What a downturn that took. He had off-field injuries. I want to say it was a dirt bike accident. He lost a lot of velocity on his fastball, down 3 or 4 miles an hour. He had a negative WAR last season, so he can't even continue to build on what at the time in 2014, 2015, 2016 was probably a nice career arc. But at this point, at only 33 years old, Bumgarner's days seem limited, which stinks because, like I said, that 2014 postseason was potentially one of the best postseason performances I've ever seen from a pitcher. The number 4 spot in the Diamondbacks rotation is probably Zach Davies. They brought in Davies on a $5 million contract with mutual option for next season. I think that is just a safety net for their young guys to limit their innings, to see how many starts they can actually get out of them, and things like that. Zach Davies, we know who he is. He's going to get outs. He's going to throw 130, 140 innings. Keep you in games. Every once in a while, one might get away from him, but Zach Davies is a serviceable number 4, number 5 starter in the major leagues, and that's why Arizona brought him back. Get outs, keep us in games. Don't let things get out of control, and hold this spot down until we're ready to pass it to the young guns. Ryne Nelson is probably the front runner for the 5th spot or 4th spot. Wherever they're going to pitch him. He's from the 2019 Bowman draft class. That 2019 Bowman draft class. I'm only on the 4th team in my rankings and my season previews, but I'm going to mention 2019 Bowman draft a lot. And Ryne Nelson, he's right there. He did debut last year at the end of 2022. He did not make the Series 1 checklist, so I expect him to have his base rookie in 2023 Topps Series 2. In the small sample size we saw, he threw 18 innings, but that small sample size, what we did learn from him is that he can get MLB hitters out. He did walk a few too many guys, but aside from that, he looked really good. And even what's interesting about Ryne Nelson is he does not have a lot of innings on his arm. So coming into this season, if he threw 140 innings, that'd be great because you don't see guys get a ton of length in their first full major league season. A lot of teams will skip a start if they can. They'll play some roster management, send him down for a couple weeks, or they'll pull him out in the 5th inning of games so he never sees that 3rd time through for a few weeks and let him build on stuff. So Ryne Nelson probably going to make the opening day roster, probably be that 5th starter. But an interesting arm. I think he could make a jump into that kind of elite category for rookie pitchers. There's going to be, there's always an endless funnel of rookie pitchers. The Diamondbacks could have 3 of them. So, and we'll talk about them. Drey Jameson is the next one up. He also debuted at the end of last season. He actually was 3-0 in 4 starts. He had a 7 ERA in the PCL before he got called up. You can ignore the PCL stats, in my opinion. It's so hitter-friendly that the stats just don't mean anything. Same thing, he showed he could get hitters out in that small sample size. He had a strikeout, just under a strikeout per inning. He has a mid-90s fastball and a plus slider. He can get strikeouts. He can get swing and miss. He can get weak contact. He can make hitters look silly. So I would say Drey Jameson of these 3 is probably the most likely to get innings all season. What I mean by that is if he doesn't make the opening day roster as a starter, he could be in the bullpen. And then from the bullpen, make spot starts, continue to develop pitches, continue to develop at the major league level where he might be on the roster the entire season. Ryne Nelson, they could kind of hold back a little bit. The other rookie that I expect to see some innings is Brandon Pfaadt. And Pfaadt, he actually never saw any major league time last year. He's not on the 40-man roster. He's in contention for this 5th spot, but I would be surprised if they made a move to make him the 5th starter without being on the 40-man. I would say that he's next in line. Look for a May 1st, May 15th, June 1st call up, somewhere in that range, because Pfaadt has the ability to get outs as well. He's 6'4", 220, big kid, and he's trimmed up since his rookie, his draft season. He was drafted in that 2019 Bowman draft class also. He came in, I don't like to use the word pudgy, but a little thicker than you might expect, and he's trimmed up, and he's kind of grown into his body as a pitcher. So Brandon Pfaadt, of the three, has the best command. Pinpoint command is what I've read, and that to me is one of the things that you can't teach. You look at Shane Bieber, who won Cy Young in 2020, 94, 95 mile an hour fastball, not overpowering, but the guy could pinpoint control, command it at any point, at any spot in the zone. So Pfaadt is probably the one I'm most excited about, and he will, show up on my potential buy list at the end of this segment. Tommy Henry, he made 9 starts last year. He's also in contention for the 5th spot. This is a guy that I don't see being an opening day starter. He could make the roster in a long relief role. He could start at AAA as a starter, make some spot starts, but you're not going to make it through a season with only 5 starters. So they're going to need 6, 7, 8 guys. Tommy Henry's probably 7th, 8th guy. He's on the 40-man, obviously, since he made some starts last year. So he might get a call before Pfaadt does if there's a spot start available or Bumgarner struggling. But it's not anything to get overly excited about. He's a soft thrower, nothing special, but he is competing for the last spot. I think that kind of wraps up the potential rotation. There may be some sneaky guys like Slade Sassoni or Blake Walston that might see some starts midway through the season. I don't think they're quite MLB ready, and I don't think they're going to jump Pfaadt either. So we'll see. As long as everyone stays healthy, I think that's a pretty safe rotation overlook. The projected lineup, I used Fangraph's roster resource for this, and this could easily change. They might move guys up and down. This is just the 1 through 9 that they had, and in my opinion of it. Corbin Carroll, he should lead off. He's one of, and I think he actually is the fastest MLB player according to StatCast. I want to say he had the fastest sprint speed. He's the best prospect or number 1 prospect on a lot of MLB lists. If you look at Keith Law, MLB, he's 1 or 2. He's top 5 on pretty much everybody. Main reason for that, he's got a really good combination of all skills. He's got 80 grade speed. You don't see the 80 grade thrown around on the scale of 20 to 80. You don't see it thrown around a lot. He has 80 grade speed. He could have 40 to 50 steals. I don't think anyone would blink an eye at it. I don't think anyone would be surprised. So Corbin Carroll, number 1 prospect, he has a good mix of hit and power. So kind of sprays the ball to all fields. He's a smaller guy. He's only 5'10", but he is eligible for Rookie of the Year. He is the Rookie of the Year favorite at every book I've seen. So he's going to be chalk, and I still wouldn't surprise me. He did not get a Series 1 base rookie. He has some insert autos. I want to say he has an 88 Topps rookie auto, but he should be the poster child for Series 2. As long as he stays healthy through April and May, I think we'll be really excited about his rookie cards coming out in 2023 Topps Series 2. I could go on and on about Corbin Carroll. He's got quick hands, for his frame, really drives the ball. A 25-25 season next year, no, not a question at all. Could very much happen. 30-30 is pushing it. I think he gets 30 steals with ease, but 30 home runs is probably just past his reach now. But 30 doubles, 35 doubles, 40 doubles, I could see him taking extra bases if outfielders are lazy or if they're playing in bigger stadiums, a ball to the gap, even ones that get cut off, easy doubles. So Corbin Carroll, stud, could lead off this starting 9 and really be on the base paths and cause issues for pitchers right from the rip of a game. Batting second, most likely, is Ketel Marte. Marte is going to be second base. He had a .321 on base percentage last year, really down, in my opinion, from his career numbers. He's a .342 OBP guy. Really down season. He was dealing with injuries on and off, and still hasn't quite reached that peak that he had in 2019. If you remember 2019, he was kind of the one of, if not the number 1 breakout player in 2019. He made the All-Star game that year. He was 4th in MVP voting, and he's still only 29 years old. If you want to look up his rookies, he's in 2016 Topps, 2015 Topps. And another thing also about Marte, he lost 12 hits to the shift last year. So the shift changes in MLB. I don't know how much they're actually going to affect. So if we look at he lost 12 hits, maybe he gets 8 of those back, maybe he gets 9, 10 of those back, and that OBP suddenly creeps up. If he takes a few more walks or has more hits throughout the season, he could be a 350 OBP guy. And if you're setting the table with Carroll and Marte, 1 and 2 in the order, you could be have a lot of early leads. So we'll see what Marte does. And just, if you're interested, take a look at that 2019 stat line. It's pretty nuts. He was very good. Like I said, 4th in MVP voting that year. Jake McCarthy is probably hitting 3rd, and that was a surprise to me when I was looking at this. McCarthy kind of broke out last year already. He had his moment where I want to say he stole, I think it was 33 bases. Look at my notes here. I don't see 33. I want to say it's 29, but most of that was done in April and September. I want to say he had 20 plus steals in the last 2 months of the year. He was a big hobby darling towards the end of the year because steals are so hard to come by. They won't be as much this year with some of the stolen base projections. The base changing, the pitcher rules changing, how many times they could step off, throw over, call a timeout, whatever. We could see steals go up, and McCarthy is right up there with a guy who could already steal 30. Maybe he steals 40. Him and Carroll literally could each steal 40 bases, and that would be, a real problem for other pitchers. But with McCarthy batting 3rd, he's a 2022 Topps rookie. He's a guy that, like I said, may have already broke out, but if you have Carroll and Marte hitting in front of him, maybe he's a guy that hits, gets 90 RBIs all of a sudden, maybe 100 RBIs, and with Christian Walker right behind him, maybe that translates to 190 runs and RBIs, which is a big number and could be exciting. He's from Scranton, PA, for all my Office fans out there. So that's got to be worth something. If he develops a little more power, he could be at least an interesting target for a breakout candidate. Like I said, he already kind of has broke out, but he would need to maybe add 15, 20 home runs to his total, and all of a sudden we're looking at a real surprise and collectible player from the Diamondbacks. Next up is Christian Walker. He probably had more home runs than you realize, and from the cleanup role, that could continue to increase. He has 36 home runs last year, but his total runs and RBIs output was 176. With McCarthy, Carroll, Marte, and Rojas batting behind him, we could see that run and RBI total maybe exceed the 180, 190 mark. 200 is not out of the question. It's not likely, but it could happen. Like I said, with Carroll in front of you, anything's possible. We'll see what happens with Corbin Carroll. He had a 5.1 WAR last year. I want to say it was in the top 15 of MLB. Some of that is obviously the home run output, but he did win a Gold Glove at first base in the NL last year. So that's something to keep an eye on. Anytime you have a first baseman who's in the running for Gold Glove, that means they save infield throws, they save runs, and they make plays at first. So Christian Walker, all around very good player. He's entering his age 32 season, so he maybe has 1 to 2 more years of that peak elite power output. But even if he does take a little step back in the power department and they turn into doubles and he has 30 home runs and a few doubles, fine, I'll deal with it. Josh Rojas probably batting 5th, playing 3rd. We'll see about Longoria and what they do with Longoria, how much playing time Longoria sees. But Rojas, entering his age 29 season, he was another hobby darling going into last year. We thought, hey, this guy could break out. He's got crazy speed. Maybe he could steal a bunch of bases, and if he adds a little more weight to his frame, maybe he can hit some home runs. Well, he disappointed. He had 9 home runs last season. It's not his peak, but maybe 12. Maybe he can hit 12 home runs. He's another guy who can steal 30 bases. Again, with the new rules, maybe he's a 40 steal guy. So in the first 5 hitters, I've named 3 guys that could steal 40 bases. If that's even remotely true, the Diamondbacks are going to be hell on the base paths and could cause a lot of havoc and score more runs than they did last year. And just, it's not just steals. It's infielders rushing to make throws. It's first basemen who are trying to come off the bag quickly because they know they're going to have to try and throw a guy out at 3rd or a guy trying to score. It's outfielders trying to rush throws into third base because runners are taking first to third on singles. So there's a lot that can happen other than steals when you're that fast. If you look at the Guardians last year, they're a team that went from first to third the most. They won 92 games on a team that was projected to win 70. So speed kills, and the Diamondbacks have it by buckets full. Another pickup in the offseason was that Lourdes Gurriel trade for Dalton Varsho. It's obvious that the D-backs thought Moreno was the headliner, and if you asked them, hey, Moreno for Varsho, I'm guessing the Diamondbacks said no with a lot of ease. But as soon as they added Gurriel, who has, we've seen really big flashes from him, probably made the trade a no-brainer for the Diamondbacks. Bring in Moreno, bring in Gurriel. It's, I said I was surprised by that trade. Maybe that's why it makes more sense. You bring in an everyday starter, batting sixth in this lineup. He is entering his age 29 season. He's a free agent at the end of this year, so if you believe in the contract year output, then maybe we see a really good Lourdes Gurriel season, and the Diamondbacks look like they win this trade with ease. Longoria is projected about seventh. I'm assuming this is out of the DH role. If Rojas is playing third, Longoria is going to see some DH. He will play some at third. That's a guarantee. He's still too good not to. He's entering his age 37 season. That's tough. He still had a 3 WAR outcome last year. So if he does that again, maybe we're surprised by his output. Maybe he teaches these young guys some things. Maybe that's part of the signing too, is not just his fielding abilities, his hitting abilities, but also his leadership capabilities, and how can he help this team develop with Carroll, Alek Thomas, Geraldo Perdomo. I just named 3 guys that are under 25 years old. Maybe he's here as a veteran presence and a mentor. With all that said, if you like Longoria, he's 2008 is his rookie card. If you back it up, 2008 was one of the first seasons, or one of the first times that a top prospect in my collecting career actually delivered on his potential. I had seen, the Matt Laporta busts and players like that. Longoria was the first guy. His 2006 Bowman Chrome Auto was the most sought-after card in that season. And then in 2008, he actually came up, won Rookie of the Year. There were a lot of cards produced of his, but I think they're worth adding to the vault. Evan Longoria, if you look back at his career, it was 2008. They went to the World Series. He had a pretty big role for 5 or 6 seasons down in Tampa Bay before he got shipped off to San Francisco. I don't think he makes the Hall of Fame, but he might be in a conversation if he can stick around for 2 or 3 more years and produce at a level that maybe gets him to 50 career WAR. I want to say he's at 37 or 38. But the main issue with that is he needs to stay healthy. In the last 3 seasons, he's played 53. That was the COVID year. That's fine. But 81 and then 89 games last season. So if Longoria stays healthy, can be a veteran presence in this clubhouse and in this lineup, maybe he sticks around for a while and gets a little love in the card market and in the Hall of Fame voting. I wouldn't say it's likely, but it could happen. He did win AL Rookie of the Year. Like I said, 3 top 10 MVP finishes. He also collects cards. I think that's cool. Not that improves the value of his cards at all, but maybe if you enjoy collecting cards of players who collect cards, or maybe sometime in the future you may meet Evan Longoria or talk cards with him, that would be a cool experience. His career WAR, I have it in my notes here, is 58.1. So I want to say the threshold for most voters is around 70. That's not a concrete number, but if he can have a season where he has a 3.5, 3.7 WAR, maybe he hits 20 home runs again. Maybe he can get some, cheap RBIs because of the speed on the base paths. We could see Longoria potentially get back to, a viable MLB option, and we could see him sneak some Hall of Fame votes when his career is over. He's a guy, if you want to look at 2008 rookies, maybe lock it up in the vault or add him to your collection. Like I said, he was one of the first hyped prospect success stories that I remember in my collecting career. In the 8th hole is going to be the catcher. It's either Carson Kelly or Gabriel Moreno. Moreno might touch the outfield, left field, right field, or DH sometime, but it's Moreno's job. Carson Kelly is there. He's a good veteran, but he's entering his age 28 season, and so far he's been around. He's been in the bigs. He debuted in 2016. He's just a guy. We've seen, I think, the best we're going to see about Carson Kelly. To say that this is the most interesting thing about Carson Kelly is probably a bad sign. But the most interesting thing is Carson Kelly's baseball card trajectory. We don't even know when his rookie card is, to be honest. In 2018, he had his first Topps card. It was in Topps Update. No rookie logo, and I know some people are rookie logo fans. I am personally. Probably his rookie is 2018, but if you look back at 2017 Panini products, he's a rated rookie in their products. So is that his rookie? He's in 2013 Bowman. That's his first base card as a Cardinal, mind you. 2013 Bowman. That's his first base set appearance. But then we keep going back. 2012 Bowman Sterling. He had autographs in that in his Cardinals uniform, Major League uniform. So is that the most sought after card? Let's go back to 2010. He has a Team USA card similar to Alex Bregman. So we don't even know if you wanted to collect Carson Kelly. I wouldn't even know what to tell you to get. He debuted in 2016. He doesn't have any Major League cards in 2017, and in 2018, he'd been around for 2 years. So there's no rookie logo, and I don't even know if it's considered a rookie card. So if you want to collect Carson Kelly, I think you have to add all 5 cards: 2018, 2017, 2013 Bowman, 2012 Sterling, and 2010 Team USA. Just fun, interesting stuff about Carson Kelly's rookie card life. And that's what I said. I want to talk about the Diamondbacks, but I want to talk about how it relates to cards and collecting and everything else that has to do with the hobby. The other side of this catching duo is Gabriel Moreno. He is in 2023 Topps Series 1. He came over as a very, very highly rated prospect. He had a 367 batting average in 2021. He had a 315 batting average in 2022 at AAA. That's pretty ridiculous. I don't know how good he could be at the major league level. Of course, those skills don't always translate, but I don't think 300 hitter in his rookie season is out of the question. I don't think he's going to stay in the 8th hole when he bats either. I think if Carson Kelly or Josh Rojas or Lourdes Gurriel are not producing, let's say by week 2, and we see Moreno just kind of spraying the ball all over the field, I don't see why he doesn't move up in the lineup when he starts. And he should start more than Kelly. The catcher position is always a tough one to gauge. How much are they going to start? Even the number one starter, maxes out at 130 games. So it'll be interesting to see what Moreno does. He could be a buying target because of his skill set, his hitting skill set, and he's not a bad catcher. I don't know if Arizona will try him out in the outfield. They already have a crowded outfield with a lot of skilled players, but that's another way that he could get in the lineup. He could see some DH starts, whether Longoria sits or Kelly starts. It's hard to say. We'll give him. I'll give him 130 games. That would be an ideal outcome if he gets to 140 somehow and hits 300. He'll be the talk of the town. So there's a lot of hitters like this in the Diamondbacks lineup where their highest outcome is a surprisingly good outcome, and all of a sudden you're looking at an 81, 82 win team. Maybe they get above 500 by the end of the season. In the 9-hole and playing shortstop is Nick Ahmed. He's having some issues with a surgically repaired shoulder. So this is maybe the 9-hitter. You could see Geraldo Perdomo or Diego Castillo, like I said at the beginning of the video. He could see some time. Ahmed is really good, elite defender, but he's a defender. He's glove first shortstop who can hit a little bit. He's not going to hit home runs, but he could be on base. And if he can turn this lineup over to Corbin Carroll, maybe he scores a few more runs than we might expect, but not going to get overly excited about him. Or Perdomo. Perdomo's young, and I'll talk about him more later, but Perdomo's not a guy that's going to suddenly hit 20, 25 homers. The bench in general is probably the least decided part of this team. We could see a few guys. Seth Beer could be on the bench. He could also start in AAA. He has a lot of power, but needs to work on, hitting lefties and righties. Needs to work on hitting the ball, not striking out so much. Emmanuel Rivera came over from the Royals mid-season last year. It was kind of a weird one-for-one trade that I wasn't expecting, and Rivera, he could see some time in the opening day roster. He could play first, third, outfield. None of them really well, but enough to want to get his bat in the lineup. He's not a detriment at any of those positions. I just mentioned Perdomo. He's a 2021 Topps Update rookie. Seth Beer's a 2022 rookie. Emmanuel Rivera's in 2022 products. Pavin Smith, he's likely a bench spot. Probably going to get a decent amount of at-bats from the DH role and also platoon side. He's a 2021 rookie. If you want to, grab a couple of those, I wouldn't go crazy with any of these. Rivera is probably the biggest sleeper. Probably not, not a lot of people expecting him to do much. And I think that's mainly because he doesn't have a defined role. He doesn't have a defined opening day starter position. So Rivera's interesting, but limited ceiling. Kyle Lewis is probably going to start the year in AAA. I think he's going to need to work back from multiple injuries. He has a long injury history. And, they added him because he's a right-handed bat. Carroll and Thomas are both lefties, so they need to get him in there. I just said Alek Thomas is a lefty, and I don't know that for sure. So I have to look this up real quick. Alek Thomas is the guy I want to talk about next. He does bat left. Okay, I'm not crazy. They brought in Kyle Lewis to be a right-handed hitter. Alek Thomas, 2022 rookie. He made the 2022 update checklist. 2022 update seems to have a lot of potential. Obviously, Julio rookies are in there. Bobby Witt and Kwan, Seiya Suzuki, Jeremy Pena. It's a deep class. I didn't even mention any pitchers. George Kirby, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo. 2022 update's pretty deep. Alek Thomas is included in that. He underwhelmed in 2022 for the stint that he was up. I want to say he came up in May or June, and just didn't impress. He's still very young. He's still only going to be 22 this season, and I'm also curious if having Corbin Carroll there from day one, Carroll and Thomas playing next to each other and learning from each other and working on things together, that maybe the two of them carry each other to the next level, and they both have a much better 2023 season. Alek Thomas, in my opinion, he's going to get a lot of chances, whether it's at the big league level or AAA, to prove himself, to get better, and to be a contributor to this team, because they do see him in their future plans. Another bench spot, plus or minus, could be Buddy Kennedy. Buddy Kennedy is 2023 Top Series 1. They had a lot of guys debut last year and a lot of interesting players in the 2023 rookie class. Like I said, Drey, Jameson, Ryne Nelson are both going to be in there. Corbin Carroll, Buddy Kennedy is going to be another rookie. We could see Pfaadt if he debuts by, let's say, May 1st. We could see him by the end of the year. So they're going to have a lot of guys in the 2023 rotation. Gabriel Moreno is another 2023 rookie. So they're kind of a loaded team when it comes to 2023 products, both now and moving forward. Kennedy is a sprinter. He's top 12 in sprint speed. Add him to the just plethora of runners on this team and guys that could just wreak havoc on the base paths. I don't expect him to have any power or develop a lot of power. He's a guy that can come in, slap some balls around. Maybe he makes the bench role as a pinch hitter, where hey, we need a bunt, we need a guy to move a guy over, and he sees some at bats that way. I wouldn't get overly excited. He's a guy who we've seen this player profile before. Really fast, not going to hit any home runs. If he does, it's going to be a miracle. He makes think of Billy Hamilton. Hamilton was elite speed. He was the fastest player in baseball when he was a rookie. But when you're talking about top 10, that's really fast. Buddy Kennedy is in that class, and when you're talking about a team that's already focused on speed, he could be a piece that they try and use as much as possible. The bullpen going into this season should be better than last season, and I got to be honest with you, if I pitched for the Diamondbacks this season, I would probably be better than their season last year. They had 30 bullpen losses. If you think about that, that's a lot of losses. Handing the game over to the bullpen with a lead or a tie game, and they're losing 30 games. That's 1/5 of your season where the bullpen can't hold a lead or gives up a lead, or can't keep the game tied long enough for you to score. That is awful. So nowhere to go but up in my opinion, for the bullpen. And they did add some guys. Obviously, Andrew Chafin, Carlos Vargas, who I talked about. They have Mark Melancon there, who is past his peak, past his prime, but a very good pitcher nonetheless. And then Kevin Ginkel, Joe Mantiply. Mantiply was a breakout last year. He was their all-star representative, so their bullpen, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on bullpen. Not a lot of people collect bullpen pitchers. Their season from this year to next to last year is usually not always very steady. When you pitch 60 innings, your outcome range is very, very fluctuating. So, just because a reliever had a good year last year doesn't mean he'll have a good year this year. Just because he had a bad year last year doesn't mean he'll have a bad year this year. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on bullpens. Just losing 30 games is a lot, and they can only go up from there. So one of the things I'll talk about at the end of this video is why I think they're going to have a higher win total, and the bullpen's one of the main reasons. Let's talk about the Diamondbacks minor league prospects. We kind of already talked about Drey, Jameson, Brandon Pfaadt, Corbin Carroll, and Ryne Nelson. That's the brunt of their top 100. You'll see them on some lists in some form, anywhere from Corbin Carroll at number 1 to Nelson, Pfaadt, and Jameson from 20 to 80. I want to say they're on a lot of lists. Number 2 prospect in the Diamondbacks system is Drew Jones. He was their 2022 first rounder, number 2 overall. Stud, absolute baller when it comes to outfield. Son of Andrew Jones. He's an absolute, potential hype. And I don't want to say he's a stud yet because he's not going to have an immediate impact on this team. His ETA to the major leagues is maybe 2026. That's the earliest a lot of people would project it. 2027 is a more likely outcome. So Drew Jones has the skill set, has the pedigree, but long way to go. Jordan Lawler, he's another top prospect. You might see him in the top 15 on some lists. You might see him in front of Drew Jones on some lists. He's a shortstop with pop. Very likely to not debut in 2023. He's coming off shoulder surgery at the end of last year anyway, so it's not anything that we should expect him to have an impact on this season. But to not talk about him would be a mistake as well, because he does have the skill set to be an everyday major leaguer, potentially make some all-star teams, has some power, has some bat-to-ball skills. So Drew Jones, Jordan Lawler, both top prospects, a couple years away. I mentioned Blake Walston and Slade Sassoni very briefly. They're on their way to the bigs. They're still a little bit away because there's so many arms right in front of them. But they're top 10 prospects for the D-backs. Probably not going to make a lot of top 100 lists, but Walston might. Bryce Jarvis, he's up there as well. So a lot of arms in the top 10 for the Diamondbacks. And I hate to say, it's hard to miss with that many arms, but it can happen. There's no guarantees in baseball. There's no guarantee that all these guys are going to pan out and all of a sudden they're going to have their next 5 starters all from the same 2 or 3 year draft class. So we'll see. Hopefully Pfaadt, Nelson, and Jameson can hold down some spots, and maybe some of these guys either become trade pieces or a nice 4th or 5th starter later down the line. I could dive further into their prospects, but what I want to focus on is the 2023 season. And after these guys, I don't see a lot of people making an impact for the 2023 season that's in their minor league system. It'd be a mistake not to mention Drew Jones and Jordan Lawler. But overall, these are the prospects I think have the most impact now. And after that, it's so hard. I don't know. They all have 4 to 5 teams of 25, 30-man rosters. And then 2 developmental leagues. So most teams have 200-plus prospects. And to rate them, yes, it's fun. Yes, it's interesting to look at. Yes, you could see who has raw skills, who needs to develop. But as far as trying to talk about them in a 2023 aspect, I could spend another hour, just going through every player. So I won't do that. I'll move on to the recap. This team is young. Their lineup is young, but they are fast. They can raise hell. I've said this before, but they will be an issue not only in steals, but moving first to third, going from second to home on a ball that no one should be scoring on. Late or shallow tag ups from third. A shallow ball that the second baseman can get to. they might be scoring on. Corbin Carroll has that kind of speed. Buddy Kennedy has that kind of speed. Buddy Kennedy could be a late inning replacement to run for Longoria, for Perdomo, for Walker. We'll see how it pans out, but they could really, really, really just wreak havoc. There's a lot of potential at starting pitcher for this team. And when that is the case, it usually means you have a very high range of outcomes. So I could see this team winning 60 games or winning literally 90 games. Now, it's a huge, huge range of outcomes, but I think it's very realistic. I think the most likely outcome is that they end up right around 82 wins, the 500 mark. And the reason for that, too, with the 2023 MLB schedule, teams are now playing all 29 teams. So they're going to play a few less games against the Dodgers and Padres, who are obviously, the 1 and 2 mark of the NL West. So if they're playing all over the bigs, playing a little, wider range of opponents, maybe they win a few more games than we expect. So the Vegas win-loss total on Arizona is around 75.5. I would probably take the over. I'm confident that I would take the over. That if they win as many games they did last year, you're falling a game and a half short. But I think that the bullpen is going to improve. I think the lineup is slightly improved. The loss of Varsho hurts more than I think some people realize. But if some of these prospects reach their 75 or 80% outcome potential, this team's going to win some games. As far as cards you could buy or cards I'm buying, and I'll be honest with you, if I have a lot of stock in a player or something, or I have a ton of cards I'm trying to sell, I'll tell you that straight up. And I don't know how I'm going to quantify every order or anything like that, but penny stock would be Geraldo Perdomo. He's got 2021 update parallels. That would be my target if I was buying him. Age 23 season. It looks like he may, by fault of Nick Ahmed, get the starting shortstop job. Perdomo has a lot of room to improve. He needs to improve to be a breakout, but it could happen. And anyone entering baseball at the 21 range interests me, because that means they have time to compile. They have time to get better. And at some point, someone along the line thought this 17, 18, 19-year-old kid was good enough, and they kept promoting him and kept seeing things and kept seeing skill level upgrades. So when a player debuts at 21, I'm excited about him. So Perdomo could be a penny stock target. Breakout potential, Jake McCarthy. I say breakout potential. I think he already broke out. I think we saw really, really high percentage outcome for him. Maybe not best case scenario, but damn near it. If he truly bats third in this lineup, he could hit that 180 to 200 RBI plus runs outcome, which would be, huge. 100 runs, 100 RBIs. That's what I say, or that's what I mean when I say 180 to 200 runs plus RBIs. That would be a stat line that would catch some eyes. Will it happen? I don't know. But with Walker right behind him, Carroll right in front of him, he could see a big increase in those numbers. Not to mention his steals total, 40 steals. Doesn't crush the ball, but he could, if suddenly he hits 20 homers and steals 40 to 45 bases with 100 runs and RBIs, people are going to notice. His cards are going to peak a little bit. So if you're looking for Jake McCarthy, 2022 Topps Chrome Autos or 2022 Series 2. Again, I'm not going crazy. His breakout may have already happened. He may be at his peak for his card prices ever. But some people are looking for buying targets. They're looking for who could take that next step. Jake McCarthy's on a short list, in my opinion. As far as players that could get better or increase in price, those are my two. You could buy Corbin Carroll. He's already at the top of the price range, in my opinion. Alek Thomas had a disappointing 2022. He could be a post-hype candidate to buy now and hopefully see a nice increase. But he has to make some adjustments before we get too excited about him. So Alek Thomas could be on this short list as well. He's not for me, but maybe he is for you. And then one of the other things I want to look at too, and this will probably be the end of every video, is future Hall of Famers on this roster. I kind of talked about it with Bumgarner and Longoria. There's maybe two, and it's Bumgarner and Longoria. Bumgarner peak was amazing. 2014 was one of the best things I've ever seen. The playoffs versus the Royals, or the World Series versus the Royals. But he had a negative WAR last year. His leash this season sounds like it is very short. It sounds like the Diamondbacks are not going to want to wait to see if he can figure it out. He had a very bad end of the season last year. He wasn't getting guys out. He wasn't being effective. So as much as I would have said in 2014 Bumgarner's moving straight into the Hall of Fame. It looks very unlikely now, but not impossible. Like I said, he's only 33. Some pitchers pitching into that age 40 season. Imagine if we had 7 years of okay Bumgarner, but I'm not even sure he could be okay. Longoria, he's on my short list. He needs another season of relevancy. He's right there. He's right at the cusp of at least people talking about it and people looking at his career stats and going, you know what? He compiled, 350 home runs. He compiled 2,000 hits. Maybe. A lot of maybes. But with that said, one of the things I like about Longoria, he does have some cheap 2008 rookies for a guy that might make the World Series or might make the Hall of Fame and had, one of the first prospects I remember to actually reach hype levels and to convert on his potential. Could just be some fun pieces to add to your collection. 2008 UD Masterpieces. It's a $2 card on its best day. 2008 UD Masterpieces, Evan Longoria rookie. It's a very good-looking card. Masterpieces was an awesome set, so that could be a card. If you're looking for a cheap card to buy, add that to a short list. 2008 Stadium Club Auto. Longoria has really good penmanship. If you look at his 2006 Bowman Chrome Auto or his 2008 Stadium Club Auto, those would be some cards that I just think would be great to have in a collection. I do value penmanship. I do think a good-looking autograph is worth something and rare. So that's some things that I had about the Diamondbacks. I'm going to put my recap in the notes of this show and just kind of tell you how I feel as of March 1st in 2023 and how it looks at the end of the season. One thing I have in my notes, the last thing I have, is the sprint speed leaders. They have 4 in the top 35 of MLB. So there's 30 MLB teams. If you took the top player from each team, that's 30. They have 4 in the top 35. So I know I've mentioned it multiple times in this video, but it is important to remember that speed kills. They can do so much on the base paths. We watched the Guardians do it, and it could come from little dinks, hits that shouldn't be hits that all of a sudden start a rally late in games where maybe they were down a run or two, and this hopefully improved bullpen can actually hold a lead or keep them in the game long enough for them to get some of these comebacks. If you want to follow more Diamondbacks news, there are not a ton of Diamondbacks beat writers. Nick Picoro, he did the Fangraphs Effectively Wild season preview with Ben Lindbergh and Megan Raleigh. He's a good follow on Twitter if you want to add him. Follow along with Diamondbacks news. Maybe you see who makes the roster, who makes that starting rotation right out of spring training. I think that's all I have for the Diamondbacks. I feel like I don't know how long this is going to be, 35-ish minutes. I have some cuts and things like that. But I feel like I could talk more and more about this team. I don't think I spent enough time on Corbin Carroll. I don't think I spent enough time on Alek Thomas. I don't think I spent enough time on the pitchers. But I'm trying to make this video, mildly short. So if you want to dig into some of these players, please do. Like I said, I'm going to put my notes in the description of this video. I'm going to put my eBay store link if you guys are interested in buying any cards. I don't have any major stock in any of these guys. I don't think I picked up any Alek Thomas rookies aside from some base and some inserts that I got from breaking. I don't think I picked up much Corbin Carroll because he's always been a little out of my price range. Jake McCarthy, I wanted to add him, but like I said, his prices are kind of already built into that 2022 breakout. We'll see if he continues to grow. And then the last note is I do have a Josh Rojas rookie. I have a blue that I just listed last night, numbered to 50 from 2020 Tops. That's literally it. I tried to buy some Brandon Pfaadt cards and I couldn't get any deals. So his potential is built into his prices too. If you guys like this video, throw a thumbs up on it. I'd really appreciate it. This is my first video of the style. This is my first video where I show my face. So this is something that is new to me. I don't know about the structure. I don't know about the pace. I don't know about the details. So if you guys have any comments, any questions, anything, drop it below. I'll answer any question you have. If you want to talk more about the Diamondbacks, maybe I'll do a recap at the end of the season and talk about some of the things in this video or some of the questions I got, or like, hey, you missed that guy. Hey, you didn't talk about him. So if you guys have anything to mention about the Diamondbacks, drop it in the comments below. Share this video if you enjoyed it. That would really help me out a ton. And hopefully, I can do this for every team and you guys enjoy them. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.